Hello. Greetings. This is a great occasion, is it not? My name is Rochelle Lee. I have been given the honor of talking a little bit about an early suffrage woman who basically made her chops here in Rhode Island. And for me personally, it was kind of a disappointment to find out all this time. I had no idea who she was or that the work she'd been doing. I understand that that period of time is a very robust period of time of student and adult and women and African American engagement in civic society. But I don't think anybody really talked about how, or many people don't necessarily understand or have heard a lot about how organized and how much effort it took for any community, women's community, African American, underrepresented communities to actually get traction in that period of time. So we're going to meet Mary E. Jackson. She is, and I'm going to, because I only have a little bit of time, I'm going to just read the fundamentals. Mary E. Jackson was one of the first African American women to come to Rhode Island and endorse and work and spend a life basically promoting suffrage for women. She lived from 1867 to 1923 in Providence, apart from her religious affiliation as a Free Baptist. Her personal life is actually somewhat of a mystery. Her impressive record of activism is how we found her. It offers a lot of insight into her character and her motivation and the optimism that she had at that time, in that time period, for the future of women and the future of African Americans. The product of a progressive era, and I'm sure you guys have been through several progressive eras, but in this particular progressive era, bigger issues were equal rights, clearly voting rights, civil rights, and Mary Jackson engaged in all of those fronts, from day to day, as well as on a local and a state and a national level. One of the things that she did as part of her time here and in the type of leadership she had to offer, she basically was the leader or served as a president of the Rhode Island Association of Colored Women, which is a club that basically was formed on behalf of African American women to promote social prosperity, economic development, women's rights, without saying it in a blunt manner. She was also the the president of the YWCA, as well as the YWCA's War Council. She's part of the she was the industrial secretary for the Alpha Suffrage Club. And ironically, she's one of the few black women I know of at that period of time that actually was employed by the Rhode Island Department of Labor. And as part of that, she was able to use data and industrial statistics to promote the issues that she cared about, which in this case was suffrage, voting rights, equal rights. She was part of the anti-lynching community for Rhode Island. Apparently, folks from the South turned to folks in the North in order to try to do what they could to stop the carnage around lynching that was occurring post civil rights or civil war. The early 1900s, as we all know, was a tough period for the country in general. And of course, the few things that came out of the era of, I guess you call it the Great Depression, a lot of those benefits did not trickle down to African Americans. I mean, you see those in contemporary movies like The Help and what have you, where, old age pensions, things of that nature, unemployment benefits. None of those things apply to African Americans. So there's a lot of work to do. There was a lot of work to do. And Mary E. Jackson was one of the few folks that we've been able to identify who was a Rhode Islander that was highly engaged in all of that. The thing I want to leave you guys with, though, specifically, as in really think about it, None of these movements work without coalitions. And under the leadership of Mary E. Jackson, she made it very clear that there was not only a need, there was a responsibility for us to work together with women who are white, women who are non-white, women who are poor, women who are wealthy. As long as you believed in social justice, Mary E. Jackson would fight on behalf of those issues that she supported. So when we talk about the passage of the women's right to vote here in Rhode Island, one of the things you'll find in the history books is there are very few other organizations that endorse the suffrage movement here, except for women of color led by Mary E. Jackson. So I'm proud of her. Here today, I would tell you, my guess is, and this is just a guess, my guess she would say to you, some of the things you're going to hear from Secretary of State, Ms. Gouveia, is that we cannot win this battle alone. We need coalitions that work. We need cooperation. We need people to understand that we walk in one another's shoes all the time. You may not see it on a day-to-day basis, but my experience around unhealthy air is no different than anyone else's experience in this room. My experience around poverty, injustice, it's the same. So if we're not willing to work together and take on some of these greater issues, like suffrage movement at the time, civil rights today, human rights, environmental rights, social justice, generally speaking, we cannot move forward without healthy, reliable, straightforward, honest coalitions. And for me, I think Mary E. Jackson is one of the few examples I can think of during this window of time that exemplified that very principle. Thank you.